Transform your life in 15 minutes. My name is Pia McAdams. I am an author. I'm also a college professor and a certified life coach. I help people reach their goals, particularly in the areas of fitness and finance. And I'm so happy to be bringing this broadcast today of Transform Your Life in 15 minutes. This is where we're going to be doing 5-minute exercises. We're going to do have a mind stimulating conversation. We're then going to do a 5-minute exercise, a yoga routine for our body. And then we're going to conclude with a 5-minute guided meditation for our soul. All right, so welcome and thank you for taking this time to watch this broadcast. So yesterday we talked about aerobics, okay, one of my favorite forms of activities. And today I mentioned we're going to be talking about anaerobics. All right, so I hope you're ready. This is early in the morning. Let's get the body pumping and heart rate going as we start talking about exercise. All right, so what is anaerobic? Well, I mentioned that aerobic means with oxygen. Well, anaerobic means without oxygen. So therefore, anaerobic exercises are those exercises where there's like brief, intense bursts of physical activity. You know, and basically what it amounts to is that the oxygen demand is greater than the oxygen supply. So again, you're out of breath. And the matter of fact, it's even more than just being out of breath. It's like a fatigue. It's something that, you know, it's like it forces you to stop. Like you just can't because more happens. All right. So with aerobic exercise, I mentioned that it uses oxygen, right? Well, with anaerobic exercises, it actually is fueled by the energy that's stored in your muscles, okay, which is known as a system or known as a process called glycolysis. Now, what glycolysis is? Now, listen to this because this is like gets interesting. It gets a little technical, so I try to keep it less technical, but still explain it so you can understand what's going on in your body. So, glycolysis is basically the breakdown of the glycogen into glucose. And so what happens is your body is using that sugar. Remember, we learned that glucose is sugar. It uses that as the energy. Well, glycolysis actually forms or develops inside of the muscle cells, right? And so while you're doing anaerobic exercise, there's not enough oxygen present. So it's using that glucose. And then that's going to actually result in the production of lactic acid, which causes your muscles to fatigue. And that's why, let's say that you've been in a cycle class and within, sometimes even doing a warm up, but particularly when you're working out and if you're climbing up that like hill, particularly if your instructor is directing you to climb up a hill, all of a sudden your muscles, like you start to feel it in your muscles. You're out of breath too, but you really start to feel it in your muscles and your muscles start to fatigue. Well, that's the production of lactic acid. And that's actually a byproduct of glycolysis. And so again, what's happening is your body is breaking down the sugar for fuel because there's not enough oxygen present. Okay, so you may be asking, well, what's the benefit? Like, why do I want to put myself through this torture? Well, there's benefits to everything, right? Well, the benefits to anaerobic exercise is one, it builds lean muscle. Okay, it builds your muscle and it also helps maintain your muscle. And that's important in our body. I kind of want you to think, let's say basically, okay? Let's say basically your body is made up of muscle, fat, and bones. Okay, so which would you rather have more of? Now, obviously you need the bone for the structure, right? But which one do you rather have more of, the muscle or the fat? Okay, yeah, you want to have the more muscle. And again, when you're doing anaerobic training, it helps build the muscle. Now, what am I talking about? We're talking about the benefits. So let me go ahead and finish this thought because I was going to kind of save it to later, but I'm on this roll, on this train. So let me go ahead and let it just roll. So, now I lost the train, the train of thought. All right. So anyway, so let's say that, you know, your body's made of muscle, basically muscle, fat, and bone. And so you want to build a muscle. Now, when you're doing aerobic, because a lot of people are saying, well, why don't I just do aerobic training? Because aerobic training supposedly helps you burn more calories, right? Well, that may be true technically, but it may not be true technically. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So when you're taking, let's say, an aerobic class, let's say you go take, you know, whatever your favorite aerobic class is, okay? And then you are burning thousands of calories. Like, oh, I burned 1,000,000 calories during my aerobic class. I took an hour aerobic class and I burned 1,000,000 calories. And so that may be true. But then what do you typically do after you leave that class? One, once you leave the class, you stop burning those calories, right? And then you usually go and then eat and then do other unhealthy things to put those calories back into your system, right? But let me explain to you the benefit of doing anaerobic training. During anaerobic training, not only do you also burn zillions of calories while you're working out for shorter periods of time, but up until 24 hours after you're done working out, you're still burning those calories. Yes, because of the muscle. Muscle burns more calories than fat does. So yes, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. Don't get me wrong. They both have their place, okay? You want to train aerobically and you also want to train anaerobically. And what I usually do, and for your visual learners, I'm going to try to use a visual aid, but it's going to be my hand. So I want you to think in terms of aerobic training is like, like the endurance training. It's where you can go for long periods of time, because I mentioned yesterday that, 10 minutes or more is aerobic training. So let's use a runner as an example. I'm a runner. So a runner that's running long distance, the runner can run long distance for a long period of time because he's using oxygen. He's trained his body to run aerobically. Now let's say that same runner wants to run longer. Well, you just run longer to train to go run longer. But let's say that that runner wants to run faster. Well, you can't run longer and go faster without training anaerobic. So then the coach is going to say, okay, runner, I need to put you on the track. And what you're going to do is you're going to do some sprints. Now, those sprints, that short bursts of energy, is what's going to make that runner go faster. So for instance, this would be the endurance training. This would be the anaerobic training. It's like the spikes, okay? And so let me put it here. Hopefully you can see this. And as you're doing the spikes, over time, by including anaerobic training in your exercise, you build your aerobic base. It means you're able to run longer and faster at the same, run longer and faster. So that's the benefits of anaerobic training. It also helps with improving or helping your joints, because as you build lean muscle, of course, that's protecting your joints. It also increases your bone density, which we know over time, particularly women, we can develop osteoporosis. Well, guess what? It helps you prevent that because you're actually increasing your bone density. And it's also helping you to increase your energy, because I also mentioned that it helps you train aerobically as well. It builds up your aerobic base, so it lets you go longer, faster. Because what is happening, guys, is during that, that glycolysis, when you're working anaerobic, your body is such an amazing machine that if you're training anaerobically, you're actually training your body to, one, not only produce less, amount of lactic acids, because you're of course training, anaerobically over time becomes, you get used to it, right? And then you have to do something different, obviously, right? But over time, it helps your body to create what is known as like a buffer. And by training anaerobically, that buffer can increase anywhere between like 12 and 50%. And what that buffer does is a delayed onset of lactic acid. So although your body is generating and using that sugar for fuel and it's resulting in lactic acids, but because you're training anaerobically, you're able to withhold it and withstand it for a longer period of time. So it takes a longer period of time for your muscle to fatigue. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Let me give you another example. And this is a personal example. I love running stairs. Okay, love running stairs. It is the most gruesome workout ever in the history of workouts, but I love it. Now there's this stairs that I run. I live in North County, San Diego. And there's this stairs, and I hate to tell it on air because then also like now ever since I've been saying it, it just appears that there's always like a lot of people there. But I haven't been there in a few months anyway. But now more and more people find out about it. So when I go there, it's no longer my sanctuary, because sometimes I have to share it. But sharing is caring, right? Well, anyway, so there's outside of the North County Mall. I think they have a new name now. But anyway, it's off of El Camino, and it's in the back of some apartment complex. And there's literally like 4 levels. So it's a and I had it memorized one time, but I can't remember. But there's a section of stairs, like a flight of stairs, and then there's a landing, a flight of stairs, a landing, and a flight of stairs. Did I say that right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of them, 4 flights with landings in between. All right. Now I know there's a total of 130 stairs, 136 stairs from bottom to top. I do remember that. All right. So I run up and down those. It is so gruesome because no matter what, like even like for instance, let's say I started training, like let's say I went there now, I would be so out of breath because again, it's anaerobic, it's a burst of energy. And these stairs are at an incline, obviously. It's not like just running up and down the same stairs. They're progressively going higher. So it's like a hill training, but it's running stairs up a hill. So imagine that. Well, so over time, as I'm doing the stairs, I typically would do these like three days a week. And over time, let's say a period of a couple of weeks, then I'm able to go up those stairs, without stopping. And then I'm able to increase the amount of time that I go up. Like, let's say I go up 5 times, I'm able to go up 10 times. Okay. So by training anaerobically, I was training my body to actually be able to handle that type of intensity. And then the thing about it though, once I stop, like I haven't been there in months. If I go back again, it's like starting all over. But quickly, I build it up quickly because my body remembers. Your body remembers. And this is why when you go to your favorite aerobic class, okay, no matter what the intensity is, if you go to your favorite aerobic class, your body, again, remember how amazing this piece of structure that you carry around with you, that you do all kinds of things to abuse it, but we're not going to talk about that. but think of how amazing it is. When you go to your favorite aerobic class or your favorite class or general, or if you're lifting weights, if that's your mojo, if you're lifting weights, what happens is your body starts to get used to what you're doing. It adjusts, it makes adjustment. So after a while, you're no longer going to have the same gains as when you started, which is why in aerobic classes, they generally change the routine because you need to shock your body to do something different. But keep in mind that a lot of times the routine may change, but the way you move stays the same. And that's why it's always good to try different forms of exercises. And that's one of the reasons why, I love classes like grit. That's one of my favorite classes, that and Insanity. I love teaching these hardcore classes because these were anaerobic classes, and I understood what the benefits were for the participants, even though participants were like, oh my gosh, this is dying. This is killing me. And you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've ever been into an Insanity class. Like I used to always congratulate my participants at the end of the warm-up because I'm like, okay, guys, you survived the warm-up and your warm-up is harder than most people's whole workout. So again, what I'm trying to get you to understand is you don't have to spend hours and hours in the gym to get the gains that your body needs. You actually can be training anaerobically and spend 30 minutes in the gym and do something anaerobic, whether it's lifting weights or, matter of fact, let's go and talk about the different types of anaerobic exercises. It's basically like heavy lifting. And when I'm talking about heavy lifting is the type of lifting where your muscle fatigues like after like 6 or 7 reps. Like your muscle can't even literally go anymore. Like you have to like have a spotter, or you got to spot yourself depending on if you're doing, concentration curls, which is a bicep curl with one arm. But your muscle just fatigues it and like it literally gives out. And by the way, if you've had that feeling, particularly lactic acidosis, where there's too much of a buildup, because that can happen when you have too much of a buildup of the lactic acid in your system, it's not a feeling that you're going to forget. Like it can cause, fatigue and vomiting and muscle failure. It's not a pleasant feeling at all. Okay. But anyway, so heavy lifting and any types of sprints, whether it be running sprints or on the cycling. And keep in mind that I mentioned that you determine the intensity level. So I could be cycling and be aerobic cycling, or I can cycle and be anaerobic. I determine the intensity by how much intense energy I put into the system. Okay. And keep in mind that aerobic means with oxygen. So that means you're able to breathe. And I'm not saying like comfortably, like talking like I am. When you're exercising, and that's another thing, another tangent. When you're exercising, a lot of times, and particularly as personal trainers, you notice that your trainers loves to talk to you while you're exercising. You're like, can you just shut the hell up? I'm trying to concentrate here. But there's a reason for that. It's because we understand that being able to talk, we're first off can tell what the intensity level that you are. Because if you're able to have just like a normal conversation like I am now, you're not putting enough energy into the workout. But if you're like out of breath, then I can tell the intensity level. And if you're extremely out of breath, I can tell that you're overexerting yourself. So that's why you want to talk. And again, the talking actually helps build up that, that same thing. Your body helps get used to that, taking in the oxygen by talking. That's another way of increasing that intensity. Okay. So talking, like when I go running, like some people that I go running with, they love talking with me and some people don't. And again, like a lot of times, like my friend Barbara, we run, my friend Serena, we run together. When we're running, we're talking, but there's certain periods of our exercise where we just stop talking and we know that we're going anaerobic. So you really can't talk while you're going anaerobic because they're out of breath. So we're just quiet, but we've been running together so long that we know. And then once we're done with that anaerobic training portion of our run, our sprints, if you will, like a pickup, then we go back to talking and go back aerobically. All right. So the benefits are both. You want to train both aerobically and anaerobically. Now that brings me to my recommendation. Generally speaking, anaerobic training is not for beginners, okay? And you can understand why, okay? Now you say, well, why isn't it for beginners when it actually helps your body get fit faster? Well, let me explain to you why. And if you didn't get it, let me kind of pull the pieces of the puzzle together. If you are a beginner exerciser and all of a sudden I put you into a class, let's say like a grit class, it's going to be so intense for you because you haven't built up your aerobic base. You haven't even gone out the process of being fit aerobically. You're just trying to train to be fit anaerobically. So if I put you in that situation, your body's going to break down immediately because think about it. If you're not a fit person, any type of exercise that you do initially is going to be anaerobic to your system because you haven't trained your system to use oxygen. So therefore, I'm not going to put you to an extreme level. It's like a baby, right? Follow along with me, okay? It's like a baby. When the baby is newborn, you're not going to feed it hardcore food. You're going to feed it baby food to train the system. And over time, then as the system gets developed, then you feed the baby the adult food, right? But let me explain to this as well. Some babies get adult foods faster than other babies. So there are some beginners that, let's say they're beginners, but they are ready for anaerobic training. But keep in mind, you control the intensity. The exercise, I can take you into a grit class because I used to have beginners all the time in my grit classes. And I would just instruct them on how to just listen to your body. So in other words, we may be doing, let's say like a Tabata, which is another form of of anaerobic training. And Tabata is usually 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. So we do high intensity for 20 seconds and then we rest for 10 seconds, 20 seconds and then rest, 20 seconds and rest. And that's a period of time. We may do that for 3 to 5 minutes of doing that. Well, obviously, if you're a beginner, your intensity level is not going to be the same as someone that's, let's say, a fitter person, but you still can train that. And it's just that yours is going to, that intensity is going to be much more extreme to you. Okay. And that's why. And then if you do that type of training, like let's say your very first time as a trainer, they put you into something that intense, you're not going to go back to that trainer again. You're like, that's way too hard because your lactic acid is going to build up quickly, and it's going to revert to lactic acidosis. And it's not a feeling, it's going to be a very, very unpleasant feeling. And it's going to curtail you for even one exercise period. So that's generally why they say it's not for beginners, because it is an intense form of exercise. Okay, so that's number one. And then obviously it's not for pregnant women. If you're pregnant, you don't want to train anaerobically. And then finally, anytime that you're doing any type of exercise, always start off with a proper warm-up. The warm-up is your body's way of getting prepared to exercise. You don't all of a sudden just go outside and just start sprinting or just go outside and just start running. You need to do some type of exercise to warm up your body and then prepare. Now, when I say you don't try to go running, there is, like for instance, when I was running track, our warm-up would be just to do like a jog around the track for 2 times, just to warm up my body, and then our run would begin. So you can warm up using the exercise that you do, because even in my cycle class, we warm up on the bike, right? It's just not a high intensity. And I usually use the perceived exertion scale when I'm working out, and this may be helpful for you as well. And the perceived exertion scale is a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being no energy, like no exertion at all, and 10 being, like I tell people, you never work out at the 10, because the 10 means you're flat down on the ground, like we need to call the ambulance or I need to do CPR on you to revive you. Okay, so 10 is the extreme of the extreme. The 1 is the least of the extreme. And so when I tell my cycle students, particularly, like I have a different perceived exertion scale for each of the classes. Like in other words, if I'm in cycling, I'm telling you you're going to start at a 5. If I'm doing something else, you might want to start at a 2, so on and so forth. Okay, so keep in mind I'm talking about the cycling. I tell them, I said, when you're walking in, you're at a 5. Okay, so 5 is your middle ground. Okay. You're not exerting anything, so when you're warming up in the cycle, you're at a 5. So I would say when you're on the bike, as we're doing our warm up, just think in terms of 5. You're not really exerting yourself, but you are putting some in. You're warming up your body, and then from the warm up, we move from a 5 to a 6. And then from a 6 to like 7. So again, I use perceived exertion scale. And again, it's perceived exertion because it's perceived by you. How do you feel? What does a 5 feel like for you? And it's different from everybody. So I give the clues like, okay, this is a flat ground. This is a middle run. If we're doing running, we're going for long periods of time and you're able to breathe. I'm able to talk with you. And I tell them, and at a 5, we're able to have a conversation just like this. Back and forth if I was talking to you, right? I am talking to you. I am. Hi, Christine. Hi, good to see you. I'm glad you're on because this is great. This is perfect for you, right? All right, so, and perfect for everybody, not just for Christine. I don't want her to think I'm picking on her. Well, I always pick on Christine because I love her. But anyway, so where was I? Kind of lose my train of thought. So again, it's based on how you feel. Okay, so 5, we're able to carry on a conversation. And on a 6, you're still able to have a conversation, but your heart rate is kind of palpitating here. But you can feel it, but it's still okay. You're still able to conversate. On a 7, you're now like, okay, wait, maybe I need to pay attention. And so you're conversating, but it's not as smooth. It may just be, yeah, like this, because I'm trying to breathe while I'm working out, Not able to just keep having a conversation like this. I'm now exerting energy. By the time you reach an 8, you want me to, you're like, okay, wait, I'm really like there. I'm in my zone. Like I really, it's hard for me to talk. Oh, yeah. So I'm just, using cues like this because again, remember I'm talking about how you're feeling when you're working out. By the time you reach 8.5, you're like, Pia, shut the hell up. I'm trying to concentrate here. Like seriously, shut up. Okay, we're not talking anymore while we're working out. And again, remember, you don't ever reach a 10. All right. So really, when we're working out and we're talking about cycling, I say, if we're going up a hill, I usually say, okay, well, a hill's going to be between the 7 and the 7.5, or 7 and 8 for some of you. And again, by using that perceived exertion scale, and I'm also giving you the clues of what you should be feeling, then you determine how you feel, right? I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm just saying this is how you generally feel at this perceived level of exertion. All right, so hopefully that was helpful for you about anaerobic training. Keep in mind that both types of training, aerobic training and anaerobic training, are very beneficial to you for your weight loss. Okay, so anaerobic, remember, is with oxygen. Just think in terms of endurance. It's the exercises where you can go 10 minutes or more, longer periods of time. Okay, and remember, 10 minutes is the minimum you want to go. 10 minutes, for aerobic training, because remember, 3 days a week. For 30 minutes, and it doesn't have to be one 30-minute exercise. It can be 3 10-minute exercises, okay, but a minimum of 10 minutes for aerobic training. And then the anaerobic training is those bursts. So different things like lifting heavy, and I want to talk about that a little later, because I know women are like, really, lifting heavy? We'll talk about that a little later. All right, so lifting heavy, we're talking about the sprints. We're talking about the HIIT classes. If you don't know what HIIT is, it's not HIT, it's actually HIIT, and that stands for high intensity interval training. Okay, and again, that's the small bursts of activity. We have things like the grit. If you know about Les Mills in the gym, the grit is also high intensity interval type of training. There's circuit training, and there's also Tabata training. So there's different names and different formats for the anaerobic training zone, but basically it means without oxygen, without breath. And it can result in the production of lactic acid, which is is basically your body using sugar as opposed to oxygen for fuel, and that sugar is going to break down into lactic acid, which is going to fatigue your muscles faster. Which is why your anaerobic threshold, you're not in it for no longer than a minute. Okay, after a minute, then that's when the lactodosis happens. Okay, and when I say a minute, it's not going to happen automatically at the minute. I'm saying, for instance, minutes for a period of time, but over a period of time, as you start to build up the lactic acid, it can result into lactic acidosis. It doesn't mean it's going to. That's only when you do too much. In other words, we always talk about moderation. So if you're doing a 30-minute grit class, chances are, you're going to build up lactic acid, absolutely. But can you build too much? Well, it depends on if you're a beginner. But generally speaking, the first time you do it, it's not going to happen. Because you're not going to allow it to happen. Because you're not going to make yourself exert that much energy, because you're going to feel it from initial muscle fatigue and you're going to stop. Okay? So again, your body speaks to you. If you don't learn anything else, please understand you have to know your body. Your body speaks to you in so many ways. It's just that we're so distracted about the outside. And I want you, I know I'm going longer than what I wanted to, but this is some important stuff, because I just happened to have a conversation with a friend last night, and I had to remind her of the story that I told about the keys. And I want to end this morning with that story again. If you've been watching my broadcast, you've heard the story, but it bears repeating, because I only said it once. All right, so I want you to imagine that you are in the inside of your house and you have your keys in your hands. And then all of a sudden the electricity goes out, and it's at nighttime, so it's completely dark in your house, and then you trip over something and you drop your keys. So then you start looking around in the dark, and it's completely pitch black, and you start looking around in the dark for your keys, and you're trying to find it and you can't find it. So you happen to look up and notice that there's a window right there, and you happen to look up and you notice that there's a light on outside. So you get this bright idea that you're going to go outside to try to find your keys. I know you're looking at like, what? Like, that's crazy. Okay, but think about it, right? So you go outside and you're trying to look for your keys, and all of a sudden a neighbor comes up to you and says, well, what are you doing? You say, well, I lost my keys. And so the neighbor says, okay, well, I'll help you find them. So you're both looking around for your keys. And so after several moments, your neighbor says, well, where did you lose your keys? And then you said, well, I lost my keys on the inside of my house. Your neighbor's like, wait a minute. You lost your keys on the inside of your house, but you're out here on the outside looking for them? That doesn't make any sense. And then you say, well, it's dark on the inside. It doesn't make any sense to look on the outside when there's plenty of light out here. I should look out here. And the moral of that story is this. We look for the solutions to our problems on the outside of us instead of going on the inside of us, when all of the answers are on the inside. And if we take the time to go on the inside, we will find those answers. But we're so conditioned and so programmed to look on the outside to try to find those answers. So I'm trying to get you to understand, go on the inside to try to find your answer. Now, with that being said, let's move on to one of the ways that you can go on the inside is through. So we're going to be doing a yoga exercise. And when I say go on the inside, I want you to think, wait, what is she talking about? Particularly if you're new. What I mean by yoga going on the inside is because yoga is a mind-body connection. So it's a form of exercise where we're actually focusing on our breath. So when we get through the yoga, let me go ahead and walk while I'm talking. When we go through the yoga poses, we are actually going through these using our breath. So we're going internal, like when I'm saying, let's say I'm saying get into downward facing dog, which you'll see me get into today. When you're in that position, you're actually going internal. You're thinking like, where is it hurt in my body? Like, where am I tight? Where am I feeling tension? Where am I feeling stress? And then you're directing your breath toward those areas in your body where you are feeling that tightness and that tension, that stress, that negative energy. So yoga is a great way for that mind-body connection for that particular reason. Okay, so it's not stretching. I mean, obviously you're stretching some of your muscles in your joints, right? I mean, that's inherent in the form of exercise, but it's more of a mind-body because you're really literally thinking about what is going on and what is happening inside of your body as we're doing this. Even like when we're doing child's pose, I'm doing extended arm, you're going to find like there's tension in your shoulders and in the upper back. And you're going to be able to feel this as we're going through the poses. And so it's your job as you're going through this. On the inhale is where you're just like, you're recognizing, you're observing what's going on. And then you notice the tightness, wherever it may be, wherever it falls on you. And then as you exhale, you're literally directing, like mentally, you're directing your breath toward those areas that are tightening. As you're exhaling, you're relaxing those areas. You're releasing that tension, releasing the stress, releasing that negative energy. And that's the mind-body connection that we try to get to where we're going through yoga. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then after the yoga practice, we go immediately to a meditation. I walk you through a 5-minute guided meditation. And this perhaps is one of the most, in my humble opinion, the most important forms of making sure that you go internal is meditation. Now you may be saying, well, Pia, I pray. Well, I pray too. But guess what prayer is? If you want to know the difference, in my humble opinion, of praying and meditating, because they're two different things. When I'm praying, I'm asking. I'm gratitude, okay? I'm asking in gratitude, and I'm asking from God. When I'm meditating, I'm listening, okay? I'm quieting my mind, and I'm receiving the answers. So they go hand in hand. It's not one against each other. They go hand in hand. It's that they're different. One, you're asking. One, you're listening. It's important to listen because you can ask all you want, and he's going to give it to you. But if you don't hear it, if you don't go inside, you're not going to hear it. And that's the reason why I keep saying go internal, because if you go internal and you quiet your mind, the answers will come. It will be given to you. I literally can promise this to you. I can promise this to each of you because it happens, because we're all extensions of God. Okay, we all are. Obviously, if you're an atheist, you shouldn't be listening to me, or, whatever. And when I'm saying God, I'm not saying my God, I'm saying God. Whatever God, whoever you worship, we're extensions of God. In order to be able to hear the answers that we're asking for, you got to be quiet on your mind. And again, right now, particularly if you're new to meditating, you're going to have thoughts that come, and it's going to be so frustrating because, again, if you're not used to it, it's like, think of anything that you're not used to. The first time that you do it, the first few times, the first months or weeks or whatever it may take, depending on you, it's going to be extremely hard. But if you stick with it over time, it will happen. Now, I just want to kind of give you some a frame of reference when it comes to meditating. If we're doing, let's say you were doing a 30-minute meditation. Matter of fact, that's you're a beginner. You're not going to start off with 30 minutes. Let's say you're doing a 5-minute meditation like what we're about to do after I do the yoga. During that 5 minutes, if you're able to quiet your mind for 10 seconds, you're doing awesome. Like seriously, out of 5 minutes, if you got 10 seconds of peace, you're doing awesome. It's not uncommon. So I don't want you to beat yourself. If I'm trying to guide you through this meditation and try to get you to direct your focus on your breath to help you clear that chatter, don't think the chatter is going to go away immediately, because how old are you? You have that chatter all your whole life, and all of a sudden you're starting to clear away that chatter. It doesn't want to go. It wants to stay there, okay? And even for meditating over a period of time, it's a practice. I use it. People always ask me, how often do I meditate? I do it twice a day for about 30 minutes apiece. And sometimes, let's say if I'm so busy and I don't have time to meditate, sometimes I can just stop and take 2 minutes of just deep breathing to just ground myself. And before I go live on any broadcast, I always ground myself. I take deep breaths and I go internal and I set my intentions for what I'm about to do. Okay, so it's not like, I don't want you to think you have to say, oh my God, I don't have 30 minutes to meditate. Or like a lot of beginners, you say, okay, I'm going to meditate just before I go to sleep. Not to discourage you, because anytime you want to meditate is awesome. I think you should do it because it's the way to go internal. But just understand that if you meditate while lying down just before you go to sleep, then you're going to go to sleep. Okay, so that meditation is going to turn into a slumber. But anyway, let's get on to the yoga. Yoga and meditation is a practice. That's why I want you to understand. So don't be patient with yourself. If I'm going through this 5-minute yoga routine, if it's tense and then challenging for you, I'm going to give you some options, okay? Some options that you can do that's going to make it less intense for you. And over a period of time, it's a practice. You work your way up to it. Same thing with the meditation. Be patient with yourself, all right? All right, so for this yoga session, we're going to start off in tabletop. And I say it's a practice for two reasons. one, so that you can be kind to yourself as you're going through the practice. And then two, for you to understand that you have to do it. I don't want you just to watch me. You got to do it with me. So I invite you to do it with me. Okay, even if you don't have a mat, you don't have to have a mat to perform yoga. You don't have to have all these special tools. There are things that you can use, you know, blocks and straps and all that. Matter of fact, I should bring mine out at some point. Maybe one day I will. But you don't have to have all these tools. You can be right there on your carpet, okay? You can be, you know, matter of fact, you can do it on your bed if that's the best place that you have, okay? Like, let's say your floor is so disastrous and so clouded with all these clothes I gotta do on my bed. It's not the best place, but I'm not gonna criticize any time that you want to exercise or meditate. Just do it. That's all I'm saying, okay? All right, so tabletop, you're on your hands and knees. Your palms are directly underneath your shoulders, and your knees are directly underneath your hips. And we're gonna stay there for a couple deep breaths and do some warm up. All right, let's get started. Make sure your fingers are spread out nice and wide. Your toes are uncurled. Neutral spine. Take a nice deep breath. Open up your chest. Forehead goes up to the sky. And as you exhale, I want you to round through your spine. Tuck your chin down towards your chest. And tuck the tailbone under. Press those shoulders down and away from your ears. This is on the exhale. And as you inhale, your head and chest comes forward. Drop your belly down towards your mat. Press those armpits down also toward the mat. Arch your back. Tailbone sticks out toward the back of the room. And as you exhale, drop your chin down toward your chest, round to the spine. Now this cat-cow is one of my favorite ways to warm up. Because remember, no matter what form of exercises you're doing, you always want to start off with the warm-up. So doing this position right here, doing these poses, as we're going through these motions of cat and cow, just listen to your body and just do what really feels comfortable to you. Use your breath. Okay, it's as the inhale is when you're in the cow position. And then as you exhale, take it to the cat position. Okay, so use your breath. All right, on the next exhalation, let's go ahead and return back to the tabletop, which means it's going to be the neutral spine. And just kind of stay here for a moment and just kind of feel your body, loosen it up. Maybe take those shoulders side to side. Take your head, stretch out your neck side to side. Maybe roll your chin on your chest. Okay, again, just do what feels comfortable. You're warming up the body, preparing it for this series or this session of a yoga workout. Take the hips, rock it side to side. Maybe rotate the shoulder the opposite way. Okay, just do what feels comfortable at this time. Giving gentle stretches, so my hips are over to my left as I'm looking over that right shoulder. And then I'm going to switch it. All right, let's go ahead and return back to the tabletop. And let's curl our toes under and let's take it to downward facing dog. Now this position, I'm going to pedal my legs. Now the downward facing dog is actually a resting pose. Okay, so when you're in downward facing dog, we're in resting. But for some of you, this may be too strenuous. So we have some options that you can do. All right? One of the options is that you can spread your feet out nice and wide and take into a wide stance downward facing dog. Okay, this is a little bit more stress and strain on your muscles, on your body. Okay, so that's one option. And that's if you want to stay in the downward facing dog. Another option would be, you can actually just go back to tabletop and then again just kind of feel your body because we're just kind of like warming up right now. And even if you just don't feel like it, like again, depending on what your insides are telling you, what your body's telling you, you may want to even hold child's pose, okay, which is another resting pose. All right, let's come up on the top of our toes and roll down through the balls of our feet all the way down to the heels as you try to press them down toward the mat. Press your chest toward your thighs and your knees. Try to keep your head in alignment with your biceps if you can. Let's do it again. On the inhale, come up on the top of your tippy toes. And as you exhale, roll down through the balls of your feet all the way down through the heels. One more time, let's do that again. Come up on the top of your toes. And as you exhale, roll down to the balls of your feet, all the way down to the heels. All right, on the next breath, I want you to bring that right knee in toward your chest, and then I want you to extend that right leg all the way back. Try to press your chest toward, sorry, when I said right, that's my left. Your left or right, you can do one or the other. And then bend that leg. Let that kneecap to engage the quadricep. Remember, try to feel the tightness in your body and direct your breath to those tight areas. Now, go ahead and bring that left foot forward toward the fingertips. And let's take it up to a high lunge. Now, in this position, your body is like on 2 railroad tracks, okay? So your legs are hip distance apart. I want you to sink down. So as you exhale, just sink down into the pose so that your hips are trying to be in alignment with your knees. Your knees are directly over your ankle. I want you to extend those arms overhead with the palms facing each other. Now, the tension and stress is probably located in your shoulders, so you want to make sure to relax your shoulders, like really press them down. As you press your down, sink down a little deeper into the stretch, okay? So this pose is the high lunge. If this is too much strain for you, feel free to release the knee and do the same thing in low lunge, okay? So we have choices here. Sorry, I got like a torn meniscus, so I gotta be careful with that. Also, if this is too much strain and stress on your neck, feel free to bring your arms down here at heart center, which we're about to do anyway. So bring your palms together at the heart center. On the inhale, and as you exhale, I want you to rotate. So I'm taking the outer part of my shoulder toward the outer part of my left knee. Now, the tendency on this pose here is to sink down into the pose. I don't want you to sink. I want you to press those palms together and lift up your chest so that your belly comes away from your thighs. Try to open up that chest, open up the heart. So extend that left arm all the way up. Place the right fingertips down toward the mat and really open up. Now again, the tendency is to lift those hips up. Make sure again that the hips are pressing down toward the mat. Now go ahead and bring both palms down. And let's take it to the plank. And hold the plank for a couple breaths. Now if you need to, release your knees down and do a modified plank. Now actually just holding the plank for like 5 breaths is actually really good for your body. This is one of the full body workout here because it activates all the muscles and not just your torso. And remember, over time, you'll get better at this. The tendency on this one is to have the hips up high. We're not doing downward facing dog yet, but now we are. So let's go ahead and take it to downward facing dog. And I want you to pedal. Now keep in mind, whenever we're in downward facing dog, we're resting. So if you need to, release your knees down, go to tabletop, or you can also go to child's pose. Give your body some deep breaths. I'm just doing what feels comfortable. I'm taking my hips side to side. I'm still moving my neck, just kind of rotating around. Again, whatever feels good. Okay, I'm going to come up on my toes again. And release it down. All right, on the next breath, I'm going to bring that right knee into my chest and then extend that right leg all the way back. As the leg goes up and back, press your chest toward the left thigh and knee. Now go ahead and bend that right knee or the right leg and open up the hips. Great way to feel the tension in the hip joints, in the shoulders and in the thighs. Direct your breath to those areas and breathe. Now go ahead and release that right foot, all the way toward the fingertips. And let's take it up to the high lunge. Find that balance there, Pia. Okay, sink down into the stretch, relax the shoulders. As you relax the shoulders, relax the hip. Make sure you're breathing nice, deep Ujjayi breaths. Again, go internal, see what your body feels like, what feels uncomfortable, where there's tension in tight areas. Open up the fingertips for positive energy to come in. Now let's go ahead and bring the palms together at the heart center. And I want you to exhale as you rotate. And again, press those palms together so you open up your heart. Your belly goes away from your thighs. If you're wavering, that's okay. Remember, it's a practice. Now your gaze goes up toward your thumb, but if this is too much strain and stress on your neck, feel free to look forward or to look down. Really open up that chest. Open up your shoulders. Now go ahead and bring both palms down, and let's take it to the plank for a couple breaths here. Come on, you can do it. Breathe. Now let's go ahead and take it back to downward facing dog. Now, keeping your palms flat on the mat, I want you to slowly start to walk your feet in toward your palms. Keep your knees bent if you need to, because we're going to try to keep our palms down. So if you have to be like this, that's okay. Okay? Keep the knees bent as you walk it in. Just kind of hold here and forward fold for a second. Palms flat down. Let the crown of your head naturally bring your body weight slightly forward. If you need to, rest your chest on those thighs and knees, okay? Just whatever it takes for you to keep those palms flat. So you may be like this, which is okay, okay? You may be like this. Now slowly come up toward the fingertips and then roll your body up one vertebrae at a time. Just take your time and make sure that your head is the last to rise. All right, take a nice deep breath, inhaling. As you exhale, dive the body forward. Placing your palms flat again on the mat. This time you're going to walk your feet out toward the edges and they're at an angle. And as you exhale, you're going to release your sits bones all the way down toward the mat. You're going to bring your palms together at heart center. You're going to use your elbows to push out on those inner thighs. And as you exhale, just kind of bow your head down. And breathe. Now I'm going to release my left palm down toward the mat. I'm going to take my right arm and take it up and over. And then I'm going to switch. All right, return back down to the center. Then take your palms behind you and then slowly transition your body down facing forward to a comfortable cross-legged seated position. Make sure that you're on your sits bones and not the fleshy part of your bottom fingertips down toward the mat. All right, take a nice deep breath. As you inhale, bring those arms up overhead. Fingertips toward the sky, and as you exhale, release. Fingertips go down toward the mat. Again, nice deep breath, inhaling. Fingertips go all the way up toward the sky. Relax those shoulders. And as you exhale, release the fingertips down toward the mat. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling. This time we're going to greet the palms together at the very top. We're going to exhale right down through the center. And namaste. Okay. This brings us to the last portion, meditation, which is fitting after we just had the mind-body connection of yoga. So now I want you to close your eyes. And as you take a nice deep breath, just feel the positive energy coming in toward your body. And as you exhale, just release your chin down toward your chest. As you inhale, your head lifts up. Forehead goes all the way up to the sky. And as you exhale, release and drop your chin down toward your chest. Again, as you inhale, head and chest goes up. Forehead goes up toward the sky. And as you exhale, release the chin down toward your chest. Now go ahead and bring your chin forward. Keep your eyes closed. And just continue your nice, deep Ujjayi breaths. Now, as you breathe into your natural rhythm of the breath, I want you to know throughout this practice that you may hear sounds. You may hear sounds inside the room or outside. Now, these are not distractions nor disruptions. They're simply what's happening around you as you sit and meditate. As your mind begins to wander, jumping from thought to thought, just gently guide your focus to your stomach as it rises as you inhale and as it falls as you exhale. Just focus as you breathe. Again, feel your stomach and your chest just rise on the inhale and fall as you exhale. Just simply observe the sensation of the breath flowing in and out of your body. Notice again as the mind starts to wander, just release the thought, returning your focus to your breath. Just follow your breath as you breathe in, and follow your breath as you breathe out. Again, your mind may wander. Just gently bring its attention back to your breath. Letting go any expectations or judgments that you may have. Just sit and breathe. Breathing in and breathing out. Again, follow the breath. As you breathe in, the stomach rises. And as you exhale, the stomach falls. Be comfortable in this stillness. Just knowing what it feels like to just breathe. Don't worry about the past, nor the future. Just focus on the here and the now, following your breath as it goes in and out. Now take a nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Again, deep breath, inhaling and exhaling. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Now go ahead and open your eyes. As you release, relax, and return refreshed and calm. Slowly start to move around. You've done something good for yourself today. I want to thank you for taking this time to meditate with me, and thank you for taking the time to watch the Transform Your Life in 15 Minutes. Your word for today is wholesome. I want you to have a wholesome day. I will see you again, same time tomorrow. Make it a good one. Bye.